friends and made pizzas and brought one home. All right, there we are live on YouTube, and welcome everybody. Happy Thursday. We're here for our deep dive into Course in Miracles, and we are in the let me make sure this is right. Okay, we are in the um, Song of Prayer in the section 3 called Healing, and we are in the subsection here of Separation versus Union. And so uh, we'll just go back and forth since there's not very many of us in here. Maybe other people will come along as we go along. Let me fix the mic in Paltalk. All right. So, how are you doing tonight, Robbie?
All is well. I had a great session with reading for the kids today at the grade school, and we only have one more week left before school ends, and I'm not crazy about that, but it is what it is. But the kids were fantastic. The pre-K kids storm me and hug me and call me, "You're my grandpa, you're my grandpa, you're my grandpa, you're my grandpa." I mean, it's just the outpouring of love is astounding, and in the upper grades too, the first graders too, and second graders, and it's just a heavenly. And the rest of the day is just going along smoothly, releasing on anything that comes up. I hit a thing today, a sort of moodiness came up, and I looked at it, stepped back to look at it, said, okay, just let it be there, let it be what it is. Discriminate. What am I really? Well, I'm infinite love. I'm peace. I'm happiness. I'm free. I'm unlimited. I'm okay. And then wanting safety and security came out. So I let it go. But to be able to just be able to stand back and look at it and realize there's nothing, it's just stuff going on in my mind. And the stuff that goes on in my mind has nothing to do with the reality of what I am. And so it just makes everything simpler. And the day just floated along. I did what I had to do, water plants and take care of this and go here and run errands. And, and everything is smooth and easy and peaceful. And just loving everybody, seeing everybody as divine love as opposed to seeing them as people.
That's lovely. I love that, Rafi, because really that's when we can come to the place where we can just see that what it is divine love and not individual beings. It's just love. It's just a big old blanket of love that just spread out over everything, and it's in everything and everywhere. And it's so funny because, you think, well, some of it I don't like so much, but there are other people who like some of that. What you don't like, they like, which says to me, well, it can't really be real then if it's different for everybody. What's good is different for everybody, then it can't really be what's good, is it? So even if I think what's good is things going my way, it can't really be what's good because how could it be different than what's good for you, what's good for the whole?
Well, Lester Levinson used to say, you got to be really careful. Don't separate the dream, the illusion from the reality of being. That's a dangerous. Then you're into separation again. And when you realize the dream is not real, but it's here to serve us, then there is no separation. And I'm not here to make the dream better. It just gets better on its own.
Yeah. Well, my dream gets better when I change my mind about what it is I think I'm seeing. Um, I mean, how many stories do you hear about, somebody meets up with a person like a child, and the child is angry and unruly and dirty and, just, not the kind of kid that you want to play with your kids, the kind of kid you'd like to keep away from your school, etc. And you see, they see this kid And then they go and find out that, the kids, mother died and they've been scraping by and taking care of their young ones and doing all this stuff. And, then the person's heart changes. They say, oh, wow, this is not this terrible person I thought it was, but, just a little person that's innocent and having difficulty. Well, our job is not to go any way other than looking at this is just a little person who's having a difficulty. Those little children are little children who need a grandpa, and thank God you're there for that for them. Thank God you're there for that for them. That's a part of the illusion, yes, but it's a part of the love that makes the reality of what really is. It's not, there's nothing unreal about the love that comes about. In fact, those are the things that Jesus said, I'm saving all that for you. None of that is going away. The only thing that's going away are your bad thoughts about stuff. So I love it. And good evening, Regis. Good to see you, my safe friend. I'm glad you showed up. So let's go back there now and look at our reading where we're at. And this is a section called so weird. They put some little extra step in here. There's Regis has some rainbows going on. All right, so text Song of Prayer, section 3, healing, uh, part 3, separation versus union, paragraph 4. Would anyone like to read paragraph 4 for us? I recognize since there's only a few of us.
I'll take it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Ravi.
Is there a role for healing then that one can use to offer help for someone else? In arrogance, the answer must be no. But in humility, there is indeed a place for helpers. It is like the role, well, there it is. It just comes to me. Every time there's a spontaneous act of kindness. I mean, even if you're in the supermarket and you pull your cart back so somebody can make their cart go through. See, even stuff like that. That's the presence of our infinite beingness. That's the love right there. But in humility, there is indeed a place for helpers. It is like the role that helps in prayer and lets forgiveness be what it is meant to be. You do not make yourself the bearer of the special gift that brings the healing. You but recognize your oneness with the one who calls for help. Hello. For in the oneness is his separate sense dispelled. And it is this that made him sick. Absolutely. You sent a thing out recently that said exactly the same thing. Lynn, okay. For in this oneness is a separate sense dispelled, and it is in this that made him sick. There is no point in giving remedy apart from where the source of sickness is, for never thus can it be truly healed. If we see somebody else as lacking or limited, we're seeing him from an ego judging point of view. If we see them as wholeness, that's what they really are.
It's actually seeing that I muted myself. It's actually seeing the oneness that I mean, this is what he's talking about. There is no difference between us. And that doesn't mean that I'm a being and you're a being and we're the same. That means that we are the same, made of the same stuff, the same energy that moves through us. We are the same. We are one thing. So the healing, I don't know if Lester had been known for doing any kind of like physical healings. I know Joel Goldsmith was known for doing physical, people would become physically healed. Um, in the course in the illusory body, but they would change their mind about themselves to the point where they were no longer suffering from the ailment that they appeared to be suffering from. And uh, Joel, this is exactly what Joel prescribed as healing, recognizing your oneness with the one who calls for help.
The same thing would go on in workshops for the release technique. People would come in, like a wife would come because she wanted to be in the workshop, and the husband would come along because he couldn't stay home alone because he was in a wheelchair. And they said, and they start talking to him, and they start releasing and getting to the point where all of a sudden they get up out of the wheelchair and they don't need it anymore because they got to that sense of, I'm not, this is a story I told myself. And they said, one guy I remember distinctly, this guy was a tall man. He was so bent over, he could not straighten up. And he showed up because his wife wanted to come to the thing, and he couldn't be left home alone without it being cared for. And he came, and it took maybe about a half hour of working with him, but he stood up straight. He said, I haven't stood up straight in over 15 years. And he couldn't believe what happened to him. But it was right there. They saw the oneness and they saw the wholeness, and he released all the negative thoughts and stories and ideas and beliefs and concepts he had about himself. And all of a sudden, he was perfect. His body was perfectly okay again. Yes, we're not our bodies, but it's here to serve us,
Yeah.
just like everything else.
Exactly. And I mean, it sounds like magic. If you're looking at it from the direction of the world, it sounds like magic. But actually what it is a recognition of the truth. And if you are not, let me see if I can put it this way. If you're not crippled, which no one really is, because we are not the body that appears in the world, if you're not the body that appears in the world, and so therefore you're not limited in any way by the body, when you recognize and you're not that body, then the whatever the ailment that seemed to afflict that body, it doesn't afflict me. It just afflicts this thing, and in reality, it can't possibly afflict it because it's not even real. So the reality of it is we're all healed and whole all the time. And the dream, the illusion is that I am handicapped, or I'm a female, or uh, I'm old, or I'm young, or these are all part of the dream. They have nothing to do with the reality of what we are. These are just effects of a cause that is actually causeless, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it's perfect. I don't have a name. I don't have a personality. I don't have uh, a gender. I don't have a lifespan. But that's a projected image. And if it's a projected image, like how many times have we heard Dove said, we're the dreamer of the dream? Well, if it's your dream, instead of being a victim of it, be in charge of it. And that's, you take over, you're the boss. It's not running me. I think most people look at the world and think they're victims of the world because they're coming from that ego mind perspective. But when you look back and say, wait a minute, this is my projected thought image out here. This is my mirage. This is my illusion. And either I'll just leave it alone or I'll do something with it that helps serve even better.
Yeah. And you have to go back to then what is the purpose? And the
Yeah.
purpose of the body in the dream is to uh, remember remember God, remember that we're not a body. The purpose of the body is to communicate with our brother, to remind ourselves, remind each other of what we truly are, and to recognize in each other what we truly are. And that's, I think, the point that's missing so much. So much of the time is like, well, I'm not a body, but you're not either. I'm not this person, but you're not either. It's easy for me to say I'm not this, but it sure isn't easy for me to say you're not that because it seems so evident. And this is the thing that I've been having uh to work so much, just because I've realized it, that I objectify my brother and give him the personality that I think he has, by the way that he looks, by the way that he talks, by the place where he came from, all these different things. I give him all these ideas of what they are, and I don't see them at all. And this is something that Sebastian Blakesley said that Mother Mary said to him. Um, because he said, why am I not, why am I not experiencing the love of God or feeling God? And Mother Mary said to him, uh, how can you love something that you can't see when you don't love something that you do see?
Oh, perfect.
How can you love a God that you can't see when you don't love your brother who you can see?
That's perfect.
It is just perfect. Oh, yeah. I'm not really loving a God, because the thing I'm loving is an imaginary character. Just like I'm not really loving you, because what I'm seeing in you is an imaginary character, but that's an imaginary character. It's not who you really are. And thank God I'm not who you think I am, because then I wouldn't be me. I wouldn't be the thing that I am and the gift that I came for. We all came to give different gifts and to shine, just like the light through the prism. You know, we're all shining different colors here and there, and light everywhere. So um, I can't tell you what light you should shine, and you can't tell me what light I should shine. But if I appreciate your light and you appreciate my light, and we love each other's light, then there should be no problems. So, anybody else have any thoughts about this paragraph? All we have to do is recognize our oneness with the one who calls for help, and allow the separate sense of self to be dispelled, because that's what's making us all sick, is this separate sense of self. So we'll go on to the next paragraph and welcome Karen, and let's see who else here. Rafi, Dove, Karen, and Regis. Welcome everybody. Of course, me, Lynn. Okay. So would anybody like to read paragraph 5? Oh, Dove. Yeah, go ahead, Dove.
Can take it. Okay, very good. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Rafi, for your reading of the first paragraph. Uh, Healers there are, for they are sons of God who recognize their source and understand that all their source creates is one with them. Sounds like inclusion. We are one. My favorite words: equality, inclusion, oneness, sameness. This is the remedy that brings relief, which cannot fail. That's true. It's all about accepting the at one-ment. Don't don't pronounce it like that. The atonement, it will remain to bless for all eternity. It heals no part, but wholly and forever. Yeah, if it's real, it's forever. And if it's not real, it's just, make believe. There's the word believe. Now, the cause of every malady has been revealed exactly as it is. And in that place is written now the holy word of God. So the cause of every malady is the belief in separation, and is now that belief is not there anymore because the word of God, which has always been here, says, "You are my son, you are my beloved son." And that is all that is required to remove what is unholy. Sickness and separation must be healed by love and union. Nothing else can heal as God established healing. Without him, there is no healing, for there is no love. Yeah, I went through this thing today. Those 4 words that say, well, I don't know 4 words, but if there's pain, there is no God, and if there's God, there is no pain. I was taking a look at that. Like the course does say that it's okay to experience pain, but you don't have to experience the suffering. Suffering is only of the ego. The ego wants to suffer, wants to believe that you are guilty and should be punished and you should suffer. But I was looking at the idea that, okay, we do have pain. If you have a body, you do have pain. But I think that is where he says, if there is pain, there is no God. And if there's God, there is no pain. So God doesn't create bodies. Uh, he has created his son, which is mind. We don't have pain in the mind. We do have suffering in the mind. We do have suffering in the mind. You can suffer, like my favorite way of suffering is losing something or fear of losing something. And if you really get into the what this section is all about, is healing, is and union is all about abundance. Abundance. Why do you think there's any loss? There's no loss in abundance because the Son of God is whole and perfect and complete in every way, and there's nothing missing. The only thing that's missing is his belief in what doesn't exist. And of course, there's a lot of loss in that because you believe that you lost the love of God. I'm complete.
Thank you so much, Dove. Yeah. Yeah, if it's true when you think about it, and if you have experienced pain, which I know we all have, plenty of it in different times, in the moment of the holy instant, there is no pain. Pain is the remembrance of the past and the projection into the future that says, this hurt and it will continue. It's going to hurt again. It's going to hurt again. It's going to hurt again. And instead of being in the moment where I'm in between the place where the pain was in the past, when I broke my shoulder, that was a pain. But that pain was there. Where I was the rest of the time was anticipating the future of pain. So if I could have just stayed, and this is what I concentrated on, was staying in the moment, in the holy instant, and not anticipating. And it's you can do this, and you know that you can, because I know that every single one of us has had an experience where we have had a headache, a toothache, something hurting, got caught up in watching a show or having a conversation with somebody or listening to a song or reading or thinking about something else. And in that time, or go to sleep, lay down, close our eyes, go to sleep. in that time, we're not experiencing that pain. We forget about that pain completely. We get into a space where we're not even thinking about that pain at all. Now, when the event is over, when we wake up, oh, this hurts. But the whole time we're sleeping, are we laying there saying, I'm in pain, I'm in pain? The whole time I'm having, the wonderful experience. Am I, thinking, that thinking about, my headache? It may come back when the event's over, but during the time that I'm concentrating on this very instant, this very moment, it doesn't exist. And that's how I know, and that's how I knew, when I had my accident and destroyed my knee, which was that was quite the feat to mess a knee up like that. But when I had my accident and destroyed my knee, um, they gave me pain pills. The first few days, I would take the pain pill and I recognize, well, I take the pain pill and the pain goes away. Where did it go? Where was it in the first place? If it wasn't, if it was really still there, I would know it, but I don't feel it. And so where is the pain? And recognizing that the pain was in my thinking, and it was in my thinking, uh, my anticipation of future, that I was going to have pain. When this pain pill wears off, I'm going to have pain. Well, we talk about prophetic things, is what happens. So it is being in this moment now, in the holy instant, and in the union of our connection with God, that there is no sickness, there is no pain, because the body doesn't even exist. The body doesn't even exist. And you can even tell, I mean, you can't prove to yourself, when you go to sleep, do you really know what happens? Does anybody, well, my husband was here sleeping and he saw I was here all night. Well, that's a story, because in his dream I was, but in my dream I wasn't. So, you just have to wonder about these things. What is really happening? What is real here? Is anything here real? And the Course says, no, it's not. So this is where we're stuck, is this place of belief in a reality that is not really here, is not really happening, and it has no real reason, no real cause. It is just really a story that we made up. So the healing that comes about during this union is a remembrance of our oneness in God, where there is no sickness, pain, no grief, no suffering. It doesn't even exist because it never was. It's not real. Dove, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking how I was even thinking about that pain and suffering. You put up you posted this morning during Thursday morning talks the line. It's a question from Jesus. Why why would you who are so holy suffer? Do you want to say a few words about that, please?
Well, yeah, because we're talking about suffering,
Yeah.
and sickness is a defense against the truth, and the healed mind doesn't suffer. Uh, excuse me. So uh, in my truth, in my reality of who I am, the healed mind, which we all are. All right, we are all the healed mind. There's none of us that are not the Holy Son of God. We are all the healed mind. This is exactly what we are. We insist that we're not, and we insist that something else is going on. But the healed mind can't suffer because it knows the reality that nothing is happening here. And when we recognize our holiness, then we can't suffer because we recognize that no, it's like me suffering over the movie Pollyanna and sitting crying all day. Oh, that poor little girl. It happened in a movie. It's not real. Why would I be upset about it now? Why would I be thinking about it now? This is it. None of this is really happening. It's not really here. So what am I? The Holy Son of God. Why would I put myself in a place, a state of mind in which I am willing to suffer? I mean, how could I do that?
No, actually, the answer is guilt, of course. I mean, guilt is the only thing that keeps us tied down, and like Gulliver tied down by the Lilliputians. Uh, Guilt is the only thing that ties you down.
Right. And what is guilt? Guilt is a story. And here's the deal. Guilt is not, we think, oh, I feel so guilty, poor me. Guilt is an accusation at God. Guilt is saying, God, you are just so controlling, so overbearing that I have to escape from you. And when I have to escape from you, uh, my mind knows that that's not true, that that's a complete and total fabrication. And yet my belief that it's true and that, I mean, all we're trying to do is escape from God. And how can you help but feel guilty when you're trying to escape from the only one who really loves you? The only one who really loves you. Guilt is it's saying I don't think God can love me anymore because I've done something so terrible. I don't think God loves me, and I don't think God can love me. And I'm telling you, that's a mean thing. That's not a very nice thing because God does love you. But even saying it's not a very nice thing, it makes me think you're guilty. I mean, really, I mean, the whole thing is, me accusing perfection of letting me down.
Reminds me of the song "A Wretch Like Me."
Yes. A wretch like me. Yes. What does it say in the Bible? Like we're rags and wretches. Yeah. That's not, I mean, how mean is that? How mean is that? It's like telling a mama your baby's ugly. Your baby's ugly. It's accusing God, really. And if you don't see it that way, stop
Um,
and think about it a little bit.
I'm always talking about myself,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Rafi, please go ahead.
The only reality is infinite, omnipresent love, God, however you relate to that. So if that's the only reality, is infinite, omnipresent love, then there is nothing else. Everything else is made up. Everything else is pretense. Everything else is, mental concoctions. And there's no reality in it. They don't have any substance. I mean, if you get a memory right now, remember when you were 25 years old and the picture pops in your head. It's just a picture. That's all. It's only a picture. Well, I was had these wonderful memories of when these awful memories. They're still pictures. That's all they are. So if the infinite love, that divine omnipresence is the only truth, there's no condemnation. Nothing is condemned. There's nothing to be condemned. So if there's nothing to be condemned, there's nothing to be forgiven. And we made up this whole thing. And if we step back and look at it and say, wait a minute, that's not me. Those are just made up thoughts and ideas and concepts and beliefs and stories and yada, yada, yada. What that's that got to do with the truth of what I am? What's that got to do with my infinite self? Nothing. Right, nothing. And you're automatically that love, that peace, that bliss, it becomes so obvious that all that other stuff just disintegrates and floats away because it was never real in the first place. But all of this other stuff is, I did this. Who was I that did all of this stuff? Where'd that I come from? Ask yourself that question. I ask myself all the time. Where did this I come from that says I'm separate, I lack, I'm limited, I have resistance, I have programs, I have all of these fear. Where did all that I come from? Who put it here? And the more I do that, the less that imitation I has any power at all, and it just fades away.
Thank you, Rafi. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're healers. And this is the crazy thing, we're healers and we're over here going, oh, my wing is broken. I can't be a healer because I am sick myself. Jesus is telling us right here, this is what we're here for. Karen, please go ahead.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Rafi. I like what you just shared. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Dove. I love what Rafi just shared because it reminds me of lesson 46. God is the love in which I forgive. And in the very first sentence, he says, God does not forgive because he never condemned. And when I first started reading the course, I started with the lessons, and I really had no idea what they were talking about, especially lesson 1 through 10. And I see them so differently now, but then I couldn't grasp my head around them because I thought I knew everything, especially when I got to 25. But this lesson, when I got to this lesson, it was a game changer for me. This lesson, that's when I knew that A Course in Miracles was for me because this is what I believed. I did not believe in a condemning God, but I know, Rafi, you went to Catholic school and you know what it was like. I mean, they believed in condemnation. They taught condemnation. The Old Testament taught condemnation, and this is teaching us, and other teachings that we're learning about and sharing, are teaching us a whole nother way to see the God that is the love. God is the love that I forgive. God is the strength in which I trust. I mean, total turnaround. So I just love that. I love knowing that there is no condemnation, there is no sin. It's all made up. Only the love is real. We keep saying it and we live it and we see it everywhere. When we really believe it, we start to see it everywhere. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Karen. Yeah, I mean, the if there was anything that I would love to be able to do, is to, well, of course, for myself, remember how much God loves me, and remember how much God loves you. If we could just all remember how much God loves us, um, it would change everything. And again, that's something Sebastian talks about. Is like, feeling like you're being held in the arms of your mother. And how does that feel? Some of us can remember, and some of us, never had the opportunity. So, we may not know, but to just be able to just let go and be loved, just let go and be loved, um, is such a gift. And to just feel the love of God within me now. Think about that lesson. I feel the love of God within me now. And what does he talks about all the reasons I don't feel it. All the things that keep me from feeling that love. And I recognize that the biggest thing that keeps me from feeling that love is my dislike for my brother, my anger about things in the world, my fear about things that seem to be happening. That's what's keeping me from feeling the love of God within me. because I'm so busy projecting out all this fear and guilt, sin, shame out into the world. Let's see, did Rafi have his hand up?
Well, I did, but you said what I was going to say.
Oh,
But it just also reminded me that Jesus said we're all everything is forgiven. I mean, and that was 2,000 years ago. So that means that anything that happened after that is forgiven. So and God love doesn't take any moments off. It's never indifferent. That love is constant. So it's for the worst possible people in this stream and the best possible people in the stream are all loved exactly the same because that is love is our basic nature. It's your basic. That's the only reality. Everything else is in the dream, and the dream is showing us what we need to use to wake up from it. So here and so there's the love in the dream. It's serving us perfectly. Nothing is not serving us perfectly, and that serving us perfectly comes from an infinite love that's beyond description, beyond understanding, beyond comprehension. Yet it's the only reality, and it's what I am, it's what you are, it's what everything is. And every single one of us is expressing it the way we're supposed to be doing.
that's
Okay, I'm serving the way I'm supposed to be serving. You're serving the way you're supposed to be serving. Putin is serving the way he's supposed to be serving. Okay, so where's this? What's wrong here? Nothing's wrong here.
yeah,
Not a damn thing is wrong.
nothing's wrong here and everything's right. Isn't that just crazy? I love that though. I mean, that is the answer to everything. Nothing is wrong and everything is right. It's just what it is. This is a dream. You can't compare it to something else. You can't uh, want to improve it. We all spend all this time trying to improve the dream. You can't improve the dream. It is what it is. The body is the body. We are what we are. And the only thing that we can do is be the love, which is the truth of what we are, no matter what. Yeah, Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Rafi. Thank you, Lynn. And Rafi reminded me that, everything is serving a purpose. And, that's why we don't understand what anything is for. I was gathering with three friends earlier, and each of us shared a story that we went through that at the time, it was probably one of the worst things that we went through in our lives. But what came out of it was on the other end, it was so healing. The one person, he ended up writing a song about his experience, and he ended up having a hit record with it. The other one, she ended up going through a nasty divorce, a very painful, and she's now dating and having a great time and loving her life. Didn't think she would, but she loves her life now. And me, I went through my husband's suicide. Thought I'd never even want to live again, and it just changed everything. It taught me what real love is. I learned so many lessons, and I learned that there is no death. That he never even left. So there's so many other things that I learned. I'm not going to go because I don't want to take up too much time. But I love what Lynn shared about into his presence. No, not into his presence. I feel the love of God within me now. And Lynn, you said the reason you weren't feeling the love of God, I'm paraphrasing, basically was because you were still holding grievances. And that's one thing I love about Ken Wapnick. He teaches the course so you can really understand things. And he says about, like, for example, lesson 157, into his presence I would enter now. And with the one you just shared, Lynn, I feel the love of God within me now. A lot of these lessons, the reason that we don't feel it, because Ken said, if you want to enter God's presence, you must bring everyone with you, no exceptions. And when we don't bring everyone with us, that's why we don't feel the love of God. That's why we don't feel his presence, because we're still holding grievances and we're still excluding people. And until we can include everyone, we don't even know what love is. There is no love but God's. And only a love that's not even of this world. I mean, we can have a mother's love, but a mother's love isn't going to be able to hold us all day long. She's going to have to put us down after a while, right? So God never puts us down. He's always holding us. So I just love this course, and that love that we have of God is within me now and always and everlasting into eternity. So it's just so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Yeah, because mom's gonna have to put you down sometime. And you're gonna have to learn to walk by yourself. I love that. Thank you, Sharon. Or Karen. I call you Sharon. Thank you, Karen. Please, Rafi, go ahead.
Here's a perfect example of how ego works. I meet with a fella 2 or 3 times a week in a local cafe, and we have tea and stuff, and we chat. He wants to more about. He's like 18 years sober now in AA, and he wants to move on spiritually, and he's very attracted to the releasing. So he said to me yesterday, I did something just terrible. He said, I parked my car. I was at a supermarket and I parked my car in one of those spots, between two white lines. And a guy pulled in next to me in a pickup truck. And he had trouble, but he was still within the white lines, but he was so close to my car. He had trouble opening the door so he could get out. And I was afraid he was going to scratch my car. So what I did was I was going to back out and either reposition my car or park it in another spot. So I started to back out and I hit his truck a little bit. He said it was nothing, wasn't even a scratch. I got out and I looked at it. He said, and I turned around and I started screaming at him, "You son of a bitch, you motherfucker!" The guy gets out of the car. He's just an old guy. He's an old man who's not good at parking. He didn't mean anything by it. And he said, and I lost my temper and I was screaming at this guy. So I said, okay. I said, and now he was feeling terrible. He said, now I'm feeling terribly guilty. I feel like I got to make amends with this guy. I don't know how to find him. They're going to tell him how sorry I am. I said, how? I said, how is it helping you right now to beat yourself up? Because you're beating the hell out of yourself. And he stopped and he looked and he said, I said, how important it is for you to disapprove of yourself. How is that going to make any of this better? All you're doing is perpetuating this. And by beating yourself up and telling yourself you're no good and that you shouldn't have done this and you were a bad guy, how's that helping you? And he stopped and I said, okay, now can you just you saw that the guy was an old man and he didn't do it on purpose. He wasn't going, I'm going to go find a car and park next to him so I can bother this guy. He was just going shopping. And he has a program that if something goes wrong, he's got to lose his temper. I said, can't you see that's just a program in your head? It has nothing to do with the reality you are. You are love. He is love. Can you just love this guy and love yourself and let the rest of the stuff go? What are you hanging on to it for? Because the ego wants to perpetuate the suffering. It wants to be right. And he looked at it and he stepped back and I said, now, could you just let go of disapproving of yourself? Could you let go of disapproving of yourself some more? Could you let go of disapproving of the other guy? He said, oh, I stopped disapproving of him right away. I said, good. Could you let go of disapproving of yourself? And even more, I said, now can you just give yourself a little love and approval? Because that's what we really are. And it was an entire change in his demeanor. He got it. And all of a sudden he was at peace and he realized what he had done. And that temper thing was just, and this guy was there to trigger it, to show him, this is what I need to release. This is what I need to let go of. This is a program I have. I said, can you see how he was serving you? He could then he could understand it. And I thought, well, there's a practical lesson, not only for him to learn, but for me to learn. That, reaffirmed in me that whatever's going on is here to show me what I need, the lesson I need to learn so that I can, achieve my purpose, which is the only purpose.
Thank you for that, Rafi. Oh my goodness. What a great story. And let me just tell you what happened to me while I was listening to that story. I got involved. I got involved in that story. I felt badly for the old man who couldn't park. I felt badly for the friend of yours that got upset. I started going into a story about, what I could do to make it better. This is how silly, I mean, I wasn't even involved. I don't know these people. They're perfect strangers to me, but just hearing about a situation like that set my imagination going into how could I make this right? And usually because that happens to me a lot, and I don't think I'm the only one. If I am, I'm really unusual. Um, but usually when I get caught up in those kind of stories and thinking like that, I might go into a real spiral of, how sad, how hard the world is, how, whatever. But then also it could be that that old man never thought another thing about that. Maybe he's used to people yelling about his parking or dinging the car or whatever. He probably maybe went on about his day and never thought a thing about it, and no harm, no foul, all that kind of stuff. All right, so why am I going into all of this? Because these are all the stories that I make up about the story that you told. And I get myself involved in it and become a part of the story, me, Lynn, part of the story. And the actuality is, um, I can look at myself and see, how have I done this? How do I do this? How do I make assumptions about other people and their state of mind? How do I, get upset when I think someone else has done something that was irresponsible? What do I do? That is something I can handle. I can work on. I can work on my own reaction to these things, and I can work on my own thinking about these things, and I can let that go. And as Reed just said, the guy could have been hard of hearing. He might have not even heard this stuff. So instead of getting involved in trying to make the world a better place by helping some old man park, maybe I best be paying attention to my own thinking and how I fall into that rabbit hole of shame and guilt and fear. I mean, it's just crazy. So thank you for that story, Rafi. I just have to laugh because the whole time you're telling it, I was there giving advice and trying to help. Oh my Lord, how crazy we are. Anybody else have any thoughts about this? Our time is almost up, but I'd love to hear if anybody else has any thoughts about it. All right. Well, uh, if no other thoughts, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna play this song, but I'm gonna stop the share and turn off the YouTube. Thank you all for listening to us on YouTube and hanging out with us.
Oh, just one more thing.
Yes, sir.
You know that saying, love thy neighbor. If you can't love yourself, you can't love nobody, because the self is love. It's just so simple. The simpler I make it, the stronger it is. That's all. Thank you. Play the song.
That's it.